Hi, Lake Lure Tours. I saw Steve here. Okay, there's two, okay, go ahead.
I'm happy for Steve to talk.
You first.
Good evening. So Lake Lure Tours has applied for a certificate of zoning compliance. They'd like to construct a freestanding 25-foot by 30-foot deck in front of the existing beach house. And it's located in the GU, Government Use District, which requires town council approval prior to the issuance of the permit. Your packet contains a memo outlining the request. You've also got a copy of the application. Their proposal that they sent out requesting bids on the project. There's just a rough hand drawing of the construction from the contractor, and there's also a site plan. Clint included in your packet a copy of the floodplain development permit because it is located in the floodplain. There's a copy also in your packet of the town center small area plan. Shannon can talk more about that if you have any questions. One of the permitted uses in that district, based on town council's approval, is any project that's been approved as a master plan by town council. There is a plan for that area. This project has not been reviewed by the zoning and planning board. So again, the plan's in your packet, and Shannon's here if you have questions about that. It is at least partially town-funded project, so Sam can probably answer any questions you have about that.
Thank you. Okay. Very good.
Is it an uncovered deck?
It is,
Okay, and will remain so?
more than it.
You
Steve,
said-
okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry, you said the town will partially pay for it.
It's my understanding that, I talked to Tony Hennessy, the Public Works Director, and when I first found out that it was at least being partially funded, I think he said they currently have 14,000. Sam can probably tell you more about that.
It's right here. We budgeted 15,000.
For beach renovations?
That's correct.
Right. And we have what left right now?
14.2. We spent some money for a design, I guess, for Ignite.
Okay.
They are gonna have to have some additional plans that will be required before we can actually approve the zoning permit. There's some plans that Ron's gonna require for the, fire inspection. So, they'll have to take care of that if town council approves it.
I also understand there's some floodplain issues, and Clint, are you satisfied with those?
Yeah, just briefly, I can kind of speak to that. Initially, there was some concern because it is in the designated floodway. And we had a conversation with John Gerber, who's one of the engineers with the State Flood Planning Office. And we talked about the location of the deck and the fact that it's actually in the shadow of the beach house. So it does not require no rise study, which it normally would because it's in the floodplain. So given those facts and the fact that they said what they did and the fact that Kim Warner provided a statement that was agreeable to the state, then we're good with it.
Okay. I noticed, and let's see, I guess Lake Lure Tours will be putting out the RFP, the request for the proposal, and accepting the bids. And since we're paying for part of that, Sam, how do we fit into that process with the bidding and so on, or so the money meshes? And Steve, I guess if you need it.
Let me address some of that. Quick rewind. Chris came to us about a year ago, and we said, hey, in better years, we'd love to match funds or do something to help your facilities. And so we came up with this with Parks and Rec, worked with them. We'll match the funds as well. Chris wanted us to run the RFP process, and we have done it. And Chris had blessed it already before he left, so that's been done. And we're the other part of it, we're doing the furniture and all the other pieces of it, so we'll match your funds on it as
So
well.
the bids have already been received?
Yes, sir. We had 5, and found one that's very satisfactory, ran it by Chris, and whomever else he circulated to, and it's been approved.
Was it by chance a local?
Rutherford.
Huh? Well, okay.
But that's the genesis of where this came from.
What is the thinking behind this in terms of the purpose and what it will provide that we don't currently have?
Absolutely. Okay, so there's 3 major goals. One is to do something with the beach house other than just the 100 days of summer, to try to open it up and create more value. So this will actually come right out one of the back windows, and it'll be 5 feet off the ground. So we can actually get more use out of the beach house other than just the 100 days of summer. That was one of Chris's first challenges to me when I came on with Lake Lore Tours. I never said who I was, I'm Steve Miller, sorry. And so we've been kind of working on that, trying to figure out more ways to do that. Also, in addition, the pavilion, the covered pavilion that's there is now full during the summers, during the beach. We hit 50,000 visitors this year. And so the deck will give us more room for that. We'll put picnic tables all on it, so people can enjoy their lunch up there. Also can do birthday parties, which will give us more rentable space for that as well. But this is also an underutilized section of the beach. No one really uses it. In fact, we park some vehicles there because it's hardly ever used. Folks generally load in from the smaller beach house and some down the beach because the parking's over here near the meadows. This will hopefully draw them back to that other end of the beach and space the crowds out a little better from a lifeguarding standpoint. Should help us with it.
Now, do you anticipate, you said it's going to face the back or the lakeside window of the beach house. Will this be some sort of sales of beach items and?
No, not the deck
No,
itself.
okay.
Just for regular. Yeah, when Parks and Rec stepped in, they asked that it match the existing buildings, and we got a beautiful view on that end, where you can see the rock face from there. And so we got Big Night involved, and that's, I think, where the $800 went. Big got involved in the design work for us in conjunction with Parks and Rec, so they like the view from Pool Creek. But that's the general idea there. Ultimately, we'll try to keep going down this road and get more use out of the main beach house, would be the plan. The bones of the beach house are very, very good, but generally speaking, it's in mothballs for 200 plus days a year.
Right.
So,
And Shannon, this fits in the town center master plan?
That determination has not been made, and that's why that piece is in your memo. And I think it's perfectly fine for the board to look at this based on what you've heard, based on what has been described, and if you think it's in the best interest of the town, you can approve it. But I just needed to point out to you that review hasn't taken place by the planning board, but it's your discretion. I just didn't want you to approve this, and later on, someone asks the question, and we say, well, we didn't tell you it should have been reviewed. So you have the discretion, and whatever you decide is perfectly fine. I just wanted to point that out to you.
When are they wanting to begin to build the thing? Real soon, I would think.
You need to now, yes.
Yeah.
Beach opens is working more than we can.
Okay, Shannon, is it possible, permissible for us to approve it pending approval of the zoning and planning board?
Certainly,
Which is, what, next week?
next week.
Yeah, they meet a week from today.
And it could be a situation where they look at the plan, which is somewhat pie in the sky, and they look at reality and they say, you know what? It doesn't fit perfectly, but it's something that we believe is a great interim step before we actually facilitate the pie that we see in the sky. And that could be what happens. I mean, we don't want to stand in the way of something good if it's taking us towards something better. At the same time, we just want to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable, just like we're getting ready to do for the ABC store property. We want to review there to make sure that we're going to ask other folks to do it. We need to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable.
I would be okay with approving it contingent upon zoning and planning next week, approving it.
Motion, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve it contingent on approval of the zoning and planning board.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Bob. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Okay, moving on to 17C. A hearing, consider an appeal of a civil penalty from Dale Shields concerning a notice of violation of the soil erosion and sediment control regulations. Clint, I guess you'd be
Mayor, thank you.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt. Mr. Callahan, this being an appeal of a civil penalty, should we swear in the people that would be providing testimony or information during this appeal?
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to do that, sir?
Yeah, where's the
Andy, I can go get one.
Clint, is that microphone, that one's not working right? I can hear you better now.
While we're doing this, I'm sort of curious as to why, I mean, currently our regulations require us to hear this appeal, but this type of appeal of a code enforcement officer should probably go to the Board of Adjustment in most situations, should it not, Mr. Callahan?
It would normally, except for in this ordinance, appeals go to town council, that's the way the ordinance was written.
I understand that, but
Normally, it would.
should that ordinance be modified?
Probably.
And should such an appeal of a civil penalty of a code enforcement officer and a zoning or an ordinance
That's
go
usually-
to the
that's
Board of
usually the way
Adjustment?
It's handled.
Is that normally the case?
Well, there was a reason it was written that way, but that was years ago, and I can't remember what it was.
I don't remember either.
But I remember there was a reason it was
I
written
wasn't
that
happy
way.
about it.
Steve, maybe you could ask.
Yeah, but I
to
can't
take a
remember
look
why,
at
but
it.
there was a reason.
Yeah, let's see how this goes, yeah.
I'll look into that, what the reason was. I can't remember what the reason, but there was a reason.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you ready?
Yep.
Okay. Do you swear, put your left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. All right, so you have a packet with some information, which basically is the respective documents that were sent to Mr. Shields relating to notice of violation that occurred at 119 Waterpoint Drive. There's a cover memo, and I don't know if you want me to go through that entire thing, but basically deals with things that occurred between February 8th and February 12th, where there was land disturbance taking place that was ultimately unapproved. Permit had been submitted, an application had been submitted, but there had been no approval, so it was basically working without permits. And when told to cease construction, the work continued. So it's basically what our regulations consider as willful violation, which is what resulted in the penalties that were assessed. Unless there's other things that you have, I mean, I'm assuming that you're gonna have questions, but if there's anything in the cover memo that you'd like me to address, I'd be happy to do that, anything that's included in the packet.
First question I've got is, it's my understanding there was a notice to cease and didn't cease, and then he was told a second time to
That's
cease.
correct.
Did he do anything after the second time?
The first time, the word came from me through our zoning administrator. She had actually visited the site, because the property owner, was applying for a vacation rental operating permit. And so she was in the process of visiting the site, and she informed me that construction was going on, and asked if they had a permit, and I said, no, they did not, and, asked if she could tell them to stop work. I visited the site, later in the week, on Wednesday, and had a conversation with Mr. Shields. Explained, we looked at the work that had been done, and he believed in the conversation that we had that, you know, what he felt like what he had done did not qualify as land disturbing activity. And I didn't know, I hadn't seen the site, I'd seen the pictures, but Sheila had sent me, and it appeared to be what would be defined as land disturbance, in the regulations. But I told him I'd meet with him and we'd look at it. And indeed, it was land disturbing activity, and I explained, to Dale that, what he had done was, land disturbing activity, and I explained to him that he did not need to do anything else, as far as further construction. And then I found out later, and after another visit on that following Friday, found out that he had continued construction.
And in our land disturbance sections, in anything larger than 10 by 10 area or 100 square feet?
Requires land survey, that's right.
From the owner.
It can be, it can be the applicant. It refers to the applicant. So the applicant can be a contractor, it can be the owner, whoever is willing to sign off as the financially responsible party.
So 10 by 10, 100 square feet, and how much area was this area?
It was larger than 500 square feet. I did not measure it, but it involved basically two, I would say, 6 to 8 foot wide trails that one went down towards the lake. It did not encroach into the buffer zone or anything like that. And then another one was kind of parallel to the contour just below the parking area of this lot. And it was well over the 100 square feet. And even under it was over the 500 square feet, which if you're more than 50 feet away from the lake, that would be the cutoff.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
Well, I'm going direct to the notice of the violation. And now, Mr. Calhoun, so everyone's aware, I called you last week and I told you I would ask you a couple of questions and told you what they were. I told you earlier this evening after reading the notice of violation that I might have a couple other questions. And the one question that I had is basically addressed in this notice, and that was how you determined, well, prior to this letter of February the 24th where you cited him and levied the criminal, or the penalty, I'm sorry, against him, and the permit suspension. You mentioned in a previous email that you had had earlier dealings with Mr. Shields, and you were obviously quite frustrated.
That's correct.
Did any of those frustrations play into the amount of the civil penalty of $2,000?
No, they did not.
Or the 1-year permit suspension?
No, they did not. And we'll be happy to expand a little bit on that.
Okay.
When I arrived on site, I was very angry because I saw what had gone on, and I knew the conversations that we had. And I even told Mr. Shields on the site, and I'm sure he will agree with this. I told him I ought to fine you $5,000. And I said that just out of pure frustration for knowing the conversation that we had had. After I went back and obviously had time to cool off and look at the regulations and go through the criteria that we've been provided by the state and look at the ordinance and the way it's supposed to be, I worked through it with my formulas and came up with the civil penalty that ended up being assessed. I also ran that by my supervisor, Dean Gibbons, and he was in agreement and felt that this was appropriate and fair amount, and that's what we went with.
So the penalty assessed was objective and not subjective?
That's correct.
Okay. Looking further at the notice citation, you listed 3 violations. My first question to you is, did Mr. Shields submit an erosion control plan and a land disturbance permit request for the activity he planned to do?
He did.
Okay. Now, your first violation is that he failed to submit an acceptable erosion control plan. Now, I know you never went through the full review process because you rejected it later.
That's right.
So you don't really know if that plan that he submitted was acceptable or not, do you?
That's correct. And I took that into account
Okay.
in the actual civil penalty assessment, because that's part of the criteria, actually, that was actually deducted from the civil penalty assessment.
Well, but still the violation, you said, is failure to
That's correct.
submit an acceptable plan,
Yes.
and it could have been acceptable had you gone through the full review process, but you don't know that at this point in time. Okay, thank you. The second part of it is that he failed to secure from the town of Lake Lure a valid land disturbance permit. Again, he applied for one, but it
And
got
application,
rejected.
yes. And so
Okay.
he didn't receive an approval.
But he did not receive one prior to doing the work. And he's done enough business with the town that I'm pretty sure we will establish that he knows that's a requirement. And he knew it because he submitted a request for one.
Correct.
Okay. The next one was a failure to conduct a land disturbing activity in accordance with the provisions of the plan which was approved. Well, of course, there was no plan approved because it got rejected. So how can you say he failed to conduct it in a plan which was approved as a violation when there was one not approved?
It has to do with the way the regulations are written, and we use shell documents that the state provides us that list out violations that are basically structured in line with the ordinance. And so it follows those violations as that is written out. And we were advised by the state to use their shell documents and use that as we look at doing notice of violation and civil penalty assessment.
Okay. All right, I'm good for now, thanks. I may
Okay.
have more later.
I've got
Thanks.
another one. The fine was $2,000 and a year suspended on permitting. On the $2,000 fine, have there been others around the lake or in this community that have been fined that same amount?
Yes,
More than one?
yes.
Okay. And how about, well, the other, I believe those were private owners, weren't
They
they?
were,
Okay, but that fine has been levied at least twice before.
yes.
Okay.
And I have a question. The $2,000 civil penalty was a one-day civil penalty.
Correct.
And is it true that the state allows penalties to be assessed per day?
That's right.
And so it could have been $2,000 per day for every day they
Correct.
were working.
Everyday violation, yes.
Well, it could have actually been more because the maximum allowed is 5,000.
That's right.
Right, so,
The prior fines that you mentioned, Clint, were, in those cases, had the person who was given the fine made application already, or they just hadn't made an application at all?
In one case, yes, in another case, no.
Okay. How long does it normally take from someone, when someone fills out an application to when they get the okay?
It depends on, really the workload as far as the number of permits that are in front, but, generally, our regulations say 3 to 10 days. So we try to review applications within that time period. If there's something that we run into that where we need additional information, they have failed to submit something, then we can send that application back to them and ask them to resubmit along with the information that we require.
Was that the case with this one? Was there additional information required?
I received this application on Monday. I had it on my desk, getting ready to approve it on Tuesday. I mean, it was there on my desk, ready, it was the next in line. And then I received a call from Sheila, who expressed some concern about the application because she felt that the lot may have fallen under the steep slope regulations. And so I was gonna hold it up until we could get those things, figured out and I could review it with her. So I hadn't even had a chance to look at this thing before we realized that, work had already started.
Okay, all right. So it was there ready to go, but you needed to go look at it and see if it was a steep slope.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, was it a steep slope?
No, what?
Okay. Okay. All right,
you
that's all I
done?
had.
You done?
I'm done.
Oh, how many permits had, just a rough number, you figure you've approved in less than the 3 days?
In less than 3 days?
Our regulations say 3 to 10.
It depends on the square footage. It's it's a handful. It's very seldom that I ever approve anything in less than that time. I have on occasion, approved something even within a day. But it's totally based on workload and the size of the project.
How many have taken more than the 10 days?
Quite a few.
Okay, okay. So it's not unusual for one to go more than that 10 or, now you just said something key that I really picked up on is you got it on Monday and it was on your desk on Tuesday and you were ready to approve it. If you were ready to approve it, that should mean that you reviewed it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is it was in the pipeline. It was the next in the pile for me to begin review.
Oh, okay, got it, okay, thanks. All right. That's all I've got for, who received the appeal from Mr. Shields? Was that you, Andy?
Yes.
Okay, do you have a date it was received? It's not on the document.
I got an email, yes, I can find the date.
I guess one of the key considerations is whether the appeal met the deadline.
It did.
Yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Clint.
What?
It was received April 7th. It's stamped at the top.
Not the form we have in our packet. Thank you.
Okay. I guess it's time to bring Dale, you want to come up and give your side of the,
Thank you
Yeah.
for your time. I appreciate it. I'd like to ask one favor before we get started, please. Can I have a cup of water? I'll get it, I'll get it. I've done for a glass of water, please. Thank you very much.
he's always full of surprises, huh?
Sheila, this is what we have and it's not on there.
Dale, this is your testimony, so you need to be sworn in, so
Yes,
put your
sir.
left hand on the Bible, raise your right hand. Okay, do you swear or affirm that your testimony in this matter is the truth, whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. I probably don't need no mic. Everybody can probably hear me pretty good, but if I need one, I'll get one. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. I'd rather be anywhere in the world than here. Today's my birthday. I'm 45-year-old. I've been in business for 20 years, 25 years, and I've never had to go through something like this. So,
Well, happy birthday.
thank you. Thank you, and thank you for your time. So, I sit here and I listen to this, depending on takes so long. I'm not coming up here to say, poor Dale, I done right, he done wrong. I done wrong. I started this job and I didn't have my permit. When I got to this job, the top of this ridge was about as wide. You could not turn a small car around at this house. There was no gravel. This house had been foreclosed on by the bank, and the Michael and Susan Batten next door had bought this house. It had sat there for years and years and years. There was no gravel. Water ran down the driveway. It ran all through the front of the house and over the banks. It was in horrible shape when I got there. I got there and I asked Clint, I met with Clint on Monday, I got my permit. I said, hey man, is it okay if I go ahead and, I was gonna build a turnaround area, which I had in my drawings there, so they could put it on the rental property. People could pull up, they could back up, they could drive out. We had it all planned. I met with the Battens, the owners, and I drew it up and I said, here's what I'm gonna do. You know, I try to walk with people and I don't put it on paper and on the computer and say, this is the way it is right here. I walk with them and I say, we're gonna put a catch basin here to catch the water. I'm gonna have this manhole lid lowered up here, and we're gonna fix all this, we're gonna fix all that. I said, I want to put the catch basin over here in this corner, put all the water here, I'm gonna fix you a nice turnaround here. Said, it won't be any problem, I'll fix you a trail down to the lake. And I've worked for these people before, and they're really good customers of mine. We agreed to a price, and they said, go ahead and do it. Dale said, Said, that sounds great. Said, Vic Knight is kind of overseeing some of the other work we're having done around here. And, if you got any questions, I can get him. And I said, well, I'm not trying to jerk the rug out from under him, but I said, he don't know really nothing about the grading then. And I said, I'm doing grading here, and I know about exactly what we need to do, and I'll do it the way we talked about. And they said, that's fine, do right ahead. I said, good to go, let's get it. So went and talked to Clint. I said, Clint, go ahead and get my permit, paid for it and everything. I said, can I go ahead and bring my materials in? I said, it's dry, it's not raining. I got guys I really want to keep working. My one operator, Chris, not to change the subject, he was going to come today. But Chris's wife is paraplegic, and he's got 2 kids. And he's a single dad trying to take care of his kids, and he could not make it tonight. But he was with me during the meetings I had with Clint and everything we done, and he's got it pretty rough. But anyway, he said, yeah, go ahead and you can bring me some materials out there and dump them on site. You did tell me I could bring my materials out there. So I go out there and I dump, and I'm telling you, this lot is probably from this door straight across to that wall wide in front. That's the only area of flat area they have. You can't even turn around in it. They had to back from here to the river, back all the way to the street to turn around. So I come in there with 5 tandem loads of dirt. Well, we're out of room. Well, in my plans, I had to give Clint, I'm gonna build him a trail, and the whole back of the house up under the porch was just washed out, where the water had went in there and washed it out. So I told my guys, I said, well, let's just go ahead and we'll just shove this dirt around the house there and pack it in and everything. I said, they don't call for no rain in the forecast. Come and we'll do that, and then we'll get that much done, and we'll have it in. Clint's working on permits, and, we'll go from there. We'll be ahead of the game. We'll go ahead and get that on there. Because I may be wrong, I didn't consider that grading. All I was doing is moving my materials out of the way and putting them around the edge of the house there where we could make more room. Okay? Well, Sheila came out and put her sign up for the public hearing and everything, and that's when she called Clint. And Clint had told me, he called me and he said, don't do no more grading. That's it. Stop grading. And I said, well, I'm just moving these materials. He said, well, I'll be out there tomorrow. This was on Tuesday. He said, I'll be out tomorrow. Now, Clint did tell you guys that he repeatedly over and over told me to cease work. Okay? I texted Clint, if you guys want to read this text, you can. I've already got my silk fence. I am already got my silk fence. We were putting it up. Can I do that and put some mulch down where needed for my erosion control that's involved? Where I push the dirt around the house, all I had to do is fill in a hole and then put my mulch out, put my silk fence up, and that was all that consists of. And he said, that's fine. So there's the first meeting I had with Clint. That's fine means go ahead and do what you want to do.
So do you want to submit that into evidence?
Yeah, I'd love to, if anybody wants to see it.
Do we need to assign it a?
Well, you need to continue using it and then give it to us.
Yeah, and I also said, thank you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cause any problems. I was just trying to keep my guys working. And he said, we'll get it figured out. It's no big deal. Just do you see it? So Wednesday, we went in there and we done our Wednesday, what he told. I mean, when I say put out mulch, I probably put 2 big dump truck loads of mulch out, put all my silt fence in, dug my silt fence in, got everything fixed and all that stuff and all. Clint came out Thursday. Wednesday. Clint came out Wednesday when we done had the mulch put down. He was happy. Everything looked fine with you. Everything was good. I had everything stabilized. Everything was going good. He walked down this ridge with me and my operator, Chris Dalton. Probably 100 yards we walked down this ridge. Okay, through a laurel thicket around there, where I wanted to put these people a walking path down to the point. We walked down through there with Clint. And I said, Clint, I want to put my walking trail right here. He said, no, don't put it here on top of this hill. He said, put it over here on the side, because if people's walking this trail, he said it'll cause an erosion problem, and he said it won't work right for the trail. And I said, well, I was really hoping I could stay on top of the ridge from all my years of grading and let the water shed off both sides instead of having to dig in on the side of this hill and grade it out. I mean, all I had to do is drive the track up down the top of the ridge and pull the mountain laurel out, throw some mulch down, I was done. Period. I put the trail exactly where he told me to put the trail. Okay? I walked down through there, we marked it with Clint. I didn't have no flagging ribbon. Me and him and Chris Dalton, we just snapped limbs off and walked down there and looked at it and laughed and joked and went on. Everything was happy-go-lucky. We came back up to the other trail that went inside the hill. And I said, well, now I'm gonna put one around through here to get to their other boat dock. They had 2 boat docks. We'll put one around through here too. And he said, well, that's fine. I said, that's fine. Just don't do no grading. He did tell me that. I said, Clint, I've got to do so much grading because my track hoe will not go around the side of a mountain like this because it will turn over. I've got to fix a little flat area about 6 foot wide to get my track hoe down through to pull this brush out. And as soon as I pull it out, I said, we're bringing mulch in and I'm mulching the trail back. My fault, I did do too much grading. But when Clint got there on Friday, the one trail down to the top of the ridge, I done it in about an hour. That's grubbed it. That means pulled all the brush, all the stumps out, built a little road down through there for my mini excavator, pulled the road back. I didn't leave the road 6 foot wide. The walking trail's only about 36 inches wide now. Pulled it all back, sloped the upper side, mulched it in, moved some rocks back, and built it all the way back. Homeowners tickled to death. I mean, it looks like a natural walking trail. You could never tell I took a track hoe in there. I went around the side of the hill was straight up and down. We had to dig probably a 4 foot cut to get the track hoe around through there because it was so steep. I went out through there. That took, when we was working on that, Clint showed up. That was Friday morning. I was done. I would have been done in 30 minutes with the whole job. I had half of that trail done. I done went to the end of the trail, to the road, and I was pulling it back in, throwing mulch back on it. Now this trail is not about as long as from that window to that wall, from down the side of that hill. And I was coming back out, we was throwing it in when he pulled up, and that's when it hit the fan. He got really upset, and I done more grading than what he anticipated I was gonna do, but I had to do what little bit of grading I'd done to keep from turning my machines over and getting somebody killed. I had to do that little bit. I can't help him on that steep of grading. But he did tell me I could continue to work before on Wednesday. When he walked that with me. He told us we could do that trail, just don't do no grading. That's when I said I have to do a little bit, Chris. Well, he pulls up and he's furious. He pulls up, I pull up, we talk. I sit there and take my chewing from Clint about the whole deal. I said, Clint, I'm just trying to keep my guys busy. I said, I got rain coming next week. If I don't do this while it's dry, I'll never get this job done. And I said, it's dry, and I'm just trying to keep these guys busy. I said, these guys has got family too. I said, I don't want to send them home. I said, Chris is having it rough enough as it is. He needs all the hours he can get. I said, I want to keep these guys busy. And he said, I sympathize with you, and I understand what you're trying to do. But he said, my God, it don't make it right for the damn mess you've made right there. I said, I'm sorry. I said, do you want me to stop right now and I'll leave? He said, no, finish the damn thing because you've already got this much done. You might as well go ahead and finish. I said, okay, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to stop or you want me to finish? Just finish it. And he walked and he got in his truck and then that's what he had done, went through all the fines. That was part of the chewing I got on everything, threatening me and telling me what all he was going to do, and then he got in his truck and he drove off. So I told my guys, I said, well, I was trying to help you, I was trying to keep you busy, I was trying to keep you working, and I said, I just got my butt in a sling over it. And they said, well, man, we're sorry. I said, if I known this, we'd have just went to the house. And I said, just get it done. I I said, just get it done, let's just get it done, let's just go on.
Okay.
So that's the whole truth, nothing but the truth. Right there, it's up to there.
If I may, Mr. Mayor.
Go ahead.
You wanna mark that now that you read it, say Exhibit A or something, and
Yeah,
Okay.
can't serious.
All right. Have you ever had a citation from the town before?
Yes, I have.
For what?
I got a $5,000 citation fine. John Cloud went over here. John Cloud got a $5,000 fine. And Dale Shields got a $5,000 fine. John Cloud cut about a pickup truck load of brush in the trout buffer zone, about as big as that cup right there. Trees. John Cloud cut them because I said, John, they got me licensed in this town. I can't cut them right there. He said, are you serious? Anybody know John Cloud? I know him very well. He said, well, I can cut them. And I said, well, the saw's on the truck and I'm leaving. I said, I don't want no part of this. He said, I'll cut them. John goes down there and cuts them. He calls me and he says, all right, go by there and drag the brush out and chip it. I sent my crew over there. They took the cable down there in the tractor and they hooked to the brush that was laying in the edge of the lake. I think there was some cottonwoods in there too, but they drug it out, they chipped it, they cleaned it up. Done. I get a certified letter in the mail, I'm fined $5,000.
Did you appeal it or
Doing it,
pay it?
yes, I did.
Okay.
Bob Keith was here when I appealed it, you was here?
I don't think so, I don't remember it.
Well, did you have to pay it?
No,
Oh, okay, it was waived,
yes.
and the cloud for John, or the fine for John Cloud had to pay,
$500.
he had to pay it?
I was here, in fact, I was living in the house right next to it at the time. I was waiting on the house I bought to get ready to move in, and I remembered seeing John cut it and seeing Dale's crew out there in the process of dragging it out, so I was able to confirm everything Dale said on that occasion.
Okay.
It was right around the corner from where Bob lives.
The,
That lot that John lived in.
Two properties.
Yeah.
in interest of full disclosure, I also, like I announced with Clint, I spoke with you over the phone last Friday.
Yes, sir.
I told you I'd be asking you some questions. I told you what the questions were essentially. And I was gonna ask you, basically, did you, well, actually, you already said that you did do some land disturbance without a permit.
Yes, I did.
And did you do some land disturbance work at that site, after being told not to do it?
I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did, but I done more than what, I misunderstood.
Okay,
There was a miscommunications between me and him.
okay,
I did do more than what he told me to, but I didn't do no more than anyone else that owns their own business, in
All
my
right.
opinion, would do, is if you've got an inspector that shows up on a job, and he says, yeah, go ahead, you can go ahead and do that right there. Said, I've got your permit
Okay.
finished up, it's on my desk, I'm finishing it up right now, you can go ahead and do that little bit right there, just don't do more than this.
gotcha. Did you do what was on the plan that you submitted? Or did you do more than what was on the plan that was submitted?
Only what was on the plan is what I had done.
Okay, all right. All right,
I have my plan right here, the
Okay.
original plan that he mailed back to me, and it's identical
okay,
to what.
all right, that's all I've got for right now.
I've got if you got any questions, I'll answer them, but I've got a little to add to that.
Go ahead.
I also, I texted Clint that Friday at 12:36. I said, can the homeowners apply for the permit online? I'll pay for it for them, and what's left, pay for it for them on what's left in the turnaround area. So I can get their turnaround area done, because I done got the two trails is done. I mean, that took half a day. And I had it all done, I had it finished, completely done. Turn the page, it's done. He says applications are online, but you can't submit them online. I said, how can we do it can they fill it out online and fax it to me, and I turn it in? Which now I know that the homeowner can do that. The homeowner can pull their own permits, and they can fill them out and sign them, and I can go in and pay for them, and it can all be in their name. He said they would need to print it out, sign it, and bring it in. He said, I want Vic Knight to take care of it. Work with Vic. He would not let the homeowners pull a permit on this job. So the homeowners was pretty upset about that one, so they said, well, we're gonna have to turn around and pay Vic on top of this. Well, now you got a guy pulling a permit that don't have a clue about grading. He's an educated person that knows about landscape and architectural design and designing the decks for you guys that he's doing over here. Not saying nothing wrong about him, I don't know nothing about designing decks. Now he's in charge. So Vic applies for his permit Monday. Vic texts me on Tuesday and he says, hey, I got my permit. You can go ahead and finish the job now. So less than 24 hours, Vic Knight gets his permit. Vic calls me and says, go back to work. I never missed a beat. I missed a Monday, but I went right back to work, same job. So I get over there and I start doing my job the way I had designed it on my original prints for the homeowner. Vic says, oh, no. We're not gonna do it like that. I said, all right, how are we gonna do it? He said, we're gonna put the catch basin in the middle of the driveway, right here. I said, you wanna put the catch basin in the middle of the driveway and put 40 foot of pipe through 6 foot of fill down onto the hill instead of putting the catch basin in the corner of the driveway where there ain't gonna be nobody around it. Swear to Lord, this is the truth. He said, well, I don't want it over there because I don't want people walking through the water. This is true. I said, if you got a catch basin over there, they ain't gonna be walking through the water unless it's stopped up. He said, well, that's what I want. I said, I want it right here. Fine. I'll do it that way. Whatever, you're the man. You're the man in charge. I'll do it however you want me to do it. I said, this wall down here, I said, we're gonna put boulders in here to help hold this soil. I wanna go way downhill like I had originally planned. No, I don't wanna do it like that. I said, how do you wanna do it? He said, we're gonna use the term landscape boulders. I said, landscape boulders. He said, yep. He said, we're gonna construct a wall. I said, is that on your plans? He said, no. But he said, we're gonna put a wall in here. I said, well, I never planned on putting no wall in here. He said, we're gonna put a wall in here. So we built a boulder wall, which I'm assuming it's already been passed, the approval for the house and everything. But there was a boulder wall built. It was probably, I guess it was as high as this right here, boulder wall built all the way around the back of it, the way he wanted it built. He was in charge. And put in and done to his specs. All right? Everything's fine. Now, where I wanted to put that catch basin sitting over there, there's a mud hole. It's about 10 by 10, and it's about 4 inches deep right in the corner of this parking lot where I wanted to put the catch basin. And the catch basin's sitting over here in the middle of the parking lot, and there ain't no water running in it.
Okay, so you were right and he was wrong, but that really has nothing to do with the penalty assessed and the case tonight.
You're true.
In an effort to move things along, you accepted responsibility from the get-go. You said you did wrong.
Yes.
And you admitted that you did in fact do land disturbance without a permit. You did do land disturbance without a permit after being told to stop. And that's the essence of what's going on here. I give you credit for the fact that you did submit a permit request.
Yes.
You obviously know the system, you know what the right thing to do, and you attempted to do the right thing, and I give you credit for that. The fact that you went ahead and proceeded with the work without that permit being approved is the issue.
Yes, sir.
Now, is there any, also, and I spoke with Clint, you do understand the 1-year permit suspension
Yep.
does not mean that you cannot do work.
No.
What it means is that you cannot obtain the permit personally.
Yes.
the property owner can obtain the permit and
Yes.
you can still do work on that address or at
Yes.
that property.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct, Clint? Okay, so it doesn't prevent you from doing work. One of the things in your appeal was that Clint was trying to put you out of work, and this does not do that. And I wanted to make sure that's clearly understood. Now, is there any mitigating circumstances or things that you would need to tell us that would make us want to reduce the penalty imposed or waive it? Because that's what you're doing. You're appealing.
Yes,
You
sir.
have a $2,000 fine and a 1-year permit suspension.
Yes.
So either you want us to reduce that or waive it completely.
Yes, sir.
What mitigating circumstances do you want to tell us to make us want to do that?
I went ahead and done this job without my permit. How long these permits have been in effect? I have no idea. Land disturbance permits, erosion control permits, all this stuff. I have never, ever had a fine on that end, ever. Never. This is my first time ever being fined, ever, for the land disturbance permit. I'll never let it happen again because I'll never take the word of any one person to tell me to go ahead and keep working. Even if they're holding me, even if they're holding that permit and they say it's on my desk, I'm finishing up for you right now. Let's walk down here to see what you want done. And walk back out and tell me, yes, sir, you can go ahead and do what you need to do out there. Just don't do more than you have to.
Okay, thank you. That's what I need, thank you.
Yes,
And you're familiar with the minimum size for the permit,
Yes, sir.
10 by 10,
Yes, sir.
100 square feet?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And when I stockpiled the materials on the job, I didn't think that, I've done the exact same thing at the lodge on Lake Lewis, except I brought in 110 loads of dirt and piled them up before the permit was ever in place there. I done the exact same thing. This time I brought in 5 loads.
Why did you bring those in knowing you didn't have a permit?
Clint told me to go ahead and get started on it. The town was wanting to help the equestrian center all they could, so just go ahead, I'm finishing up your permit. I've seen it, go ahead and get it done.
Is that true, Clint?
I don't recall that conversation.
Mark Boyson was standing here himself, he can back me up on that one. Because Shannon, you remember when we started this, we couldn't put a bigger parking area in for the lodge on Lake Lowell. We couldn't do a bigger parking area because of the zoning. Couldn't handle more parking. So we changed it from a parking area to a construction materials staging area. Now, it's legal. Bob, me, and you, and Shannon sit in his office, and we changed that right in there to a construction materials staging area to build this big patio that I worked on down there with them. And then it all changed, and it went through, and we started bringing in dirt, and built the whole thing, done all that over there, and got the permits, and went on to turn the page.
Okay.
Once again, that's another situation.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to act as your defense, but it seems like when Steve was asking you about mitigating circumstances, there seemed to be, in your opinion, some miscommunications.
Yes, sir.
And I'm not giving you relief for that, but there seemed to be some miscommunications. If I were sitting in your shoes, I would bring that up. You did, but I think I'd
Well,
emphasize that.
I don't know about the other commissioners. I've heard what I need to hear to make a decision.
Okay.
I'm the same.
Unless Clint needs to add something, or Sheila. I've got what you're saying, Dale. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
I done wrong,
And I appreciate you appearing here tonight.
you know?
Mary Ann,
I
did anyone?
sat on another appeal, and it was the one that has already been discussed, where John Cloud
Yes, ma'am.
was assessed the $5,000 fine.
Yes, ma'am.
And one of the things that was taken into consideration was that he was required to do several $1,000s in remediating what he had done. in replacing plants,
Yes, ma'am.
restoring the vegetation on that lot that had been cleared.
Yeah.
That was taken into consideration, at least on my part,
Yes, ma'am.
in considering reducing the fine in view of the penalty he had already paid and the work that had gone into the best possible restoration of what he had done.
Right.
I don't hear in this situation that there was any particular need to remediate. I did hear the conflict and have no knowledge and can't judge the fact that the catch basin was moved. I know that there are new ways of doing catch basins. When I've had timber cut, they put in catch basins to catch runoff,
Yes, yes.
and which amounted to a deep hole.
Yeah, well, this was a concrete catch basin box, and it's got the framing great lid on top of it that you drive over in the parking lot so the water runs in.
But that
Some
part,
of the newer ways of doing that sounds like what you're saying that Vic was wanting to do, which might be more similar to what Mayheck did up on the ridge,
Yep.
where the water runs to the middle and then drains out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, to the question of fines and miscommunication, the fine could have been $5,000.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But Clint chose to do a one-day fine of $2,000.
Yes.
So I feel to some extent that's already been reduced from what it could have been.
John, do you have anything else?
Sounds to me like, and I would ask for input from both Dale and Clint on this, that there's some portion of this that's a misunderstanding. Is that fair to say, Clint, you think there's some portion of
I
misunderstanding?
wouldn't have felt that way, I mean, I didn't feel that way, I felt like I was very clear on what could be done and what could not be done.
Do you, well, okay.
What I'm hearing Dale say is basically what he did would have been okay if he had waited until he had the permit.
Probably so.
Would it have been in keeping, because you were telling him some things not to do or the more grading, but I'm not sure if that was timing or exceptionality. He had an original plan, and I heard you say you had to do some additional grading in order to get your equipment in there to do the job.
Yeah, I had to put the dirt over the bank. It was a real steep bank where it washed out at the house. And that's when I just pushed the dirt over the bank, and then I just mulched it. That's all it had to be done, is put it around the edge of the bank.
That was already done when I got there on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Okay,
Dale, you can, what kind of assurance can you give us that this would never happen again?
I can promise you. I've learned the hard way on this. Like I say, I don't want to come up here and go through this. This has never, ever, 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 ever happened to me before, ever. And I will not be led down that road again by saying, yeah, just go ahead and do it. You know, you can grub this and clean this and everything. I'd already had the text saying I could put the mulch down.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and cleaned it up, put the mulch down, I'm done. It'll never happen again, I can promise you. It'll never
Please
happen.
clarify
Yes, ma'am.
that you said you have been fined before.
Through what John Cloud got me into over there, yeah.
Is that the only,
No, ma'am. I got another $500 fine for cutting some brush over at John Moore's house along the edge of the creek. There was a big tree that had fell across the creek, and we drug it out, and we cleaned up right in there along the creek and cut some brush along the creek over there.
That was a trout buffer issue, and I
Yes.
think what you said earlier was that you had not been fined on, land disturbance.
Yeah, I've never been fined on the land disturbance. No, that was considered the tree part of it and the tree part of it. I've never been fined for land
It was
disturbance.
cited under the 7 erosion control regs.
Okay.
Okay,
I,
Clint, do you have any other things to say at this point in time?
The only thing that I would say is in, making whatever decision that you make, there's a lot of people watching this on TV tonight, as far as contractors and other things. And whatever action you choose, whether it be to waive, whether it be to relax, we're sending a message to everybody out there who is asked to abide by the regulations. We're saying to them, if you get this fine, you can go to council and maybe get it waived, get it reduced, whatever. And yes, that is correct, under the regulations, they have that right. But we have regulations for a reason, and why we have those regulations in this particular case is to protect our biggest asset that we have out here, which is our lake. So I would just ask for you to consider that as you make your decision.
Okay. Could I call for a motion in this?
yeah,
regard?
yes,
I would like to make a motion.
Oh.
I've been here a long time. And one of the things that I have heard, not a few times, not just in the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, but as long as I've been here, if you want to do something in Lake Lure, the best thing to do is to do it and ask forgiveness. I have property in other places where you go ahead and do something and you have to undo it and start from scratch. This isn't the kind of project that you can undo and start from scratch because it would do more harm than good. And I support Sheila and Clint in their very difficult jobs. I couldn't do them. I just couldn't. In enforcing our ordinances, and I believe they go out of their way to try to work with people. And I believe we need to support Clint in this less than maximum fine. And that's my motion.
I didn't hear a motion there.
To shorten the motion,
Yeah.
Okay,
uphold the assessment of the fine, and the prohibition against pulling the zone permits for 1 year that Clint has assessed its own appeal.
yes. And with the understanding that doesn't stop him working.
Motion's been made. Do I hear a second?
yeah, I can't second that, but I have an alternate motion.
Okay, hearing no second, then that particular motion fails. Go ahead, Steve.
Okay. I support our staff also, Commissioner Sylvie, but I also support the facts. And to the folks that might be listening on TV, my intent is not to convey a message to them. My intent is to try to ensure that justice is done. And I give Mr. Shields credit for admitting he was wrong and accepting responsibility. I give him credit for admitting remorse or expressing remorse and regret and providing this council with reassurance that it won't happen again. He did willfully admit that he did conduct land disturbance without a permit, which he knew to be wrong. And then he did conduct land disturbance without a permit, which he knew to be wrong after being told to stop. And those are the two key factors here. I make the motion that the monetary fine be reduced to $1,500 and the 1-year suspension be reduced to 6 months.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Bob. Motion made. Is there any further discussion on that change? It's a reduction in fee and reduction in the time of the suspension. Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 That sounded like 4 to 1. I mean, 4. 4. Oh, okay. It's 4-0. Okay, so the reduction to $1,500 and 6 months.
Can I pay half of it at the end of this month and half of it at the end of next month?
I don't see why.
Yeah, I don't know who you set that up with.
Yeah.
Andy,
Do we need a motion on that, or is that something that we can just do?
Make it easy for staff to have a motion, for
Right.
sure.
Right.
Okay, with the end of the end of April, and then the end of May. Okay,
Okay.
so I'll make a motion that $750 be paid by the end of April, and the balance be paid by the end of May.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion made by John and
Thank you.
seconded. When does the 6 months start?
How long's, has
I
it,
would say from the date of the assessment of the notice of violation.
So it's retroactive to the notice of
Okay.
violation, so he's already into it. Okay,
Right.
so that's them. Okay, with that understanding, the motion made, seconded, all in favor, say aye.
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 It's unanimous. Let us move on. Okay, thank you, Dale.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Sorry I don't remember the John Cloud issue.
You might
Has-
not be- I know
Thank you,
Sylvia
Clint.
was here.
Well,
I know John
if
was.
Mary Ann was here, I was here, so,
We all came in at the same time.
so I just don't remember.
Let's
Thank
move
you
on.
for your time, I appreciate it. And, I just hope we can speed up with these permits, because I can still continue to work through the homeowner. But I applied for a very small little land disturbance permit over 2 weeks ago now. I haven't got a phone call, the lady haven't got a phone call. Nobody's got any phone calls, I can't go do the job, it takes me an hour to do the job.
Be careful, we'll revisit this.
Thank you.
It'll be taken care of.
Quit while you're ahead. Okay, item D, we put in the consent agenda. Okay, item number 17E, the appointment of the Board of Adjustments and Lake Structure Appeal Board. Do we need any discussion on this, or just pass the things down?
Wait, do I have one? Yes, here. All
This is-
right.
It shows when you sent it. So
Oh.
it was on.
Oh, okay. All right, well, thanks. Yeah, yeah. All right, thanks.
Okay, Sam, this is only needed, I mean, if there's a need for a tie break.
That's 3. Where's number 4? Oh, she's doing
Coming.
it.
Okay, circle one, underline the other one, figure it out.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor.
No, that's the tiebreaker.
Yeah, yeah,
There's the other 2.
okay. Okay, those were yours.
Okay.
He's only good with the big numbers on the budget.
Okay, well,
Counting 4 ballots is difficult.
Especially
been a
when he's
long
being,
nobody gets off easy
know.
anymore.
That's why you gotta dish out the Steve.
Oop, looks like he needs a tie break.
we probably all
Pretty,
Different.
it's pretty suspenseful.
It is.
Yeah. 4 different people?
Yeah.
You can't get 4 on the calculator.
See, you have to fill the one first.
Oh,
He's got,
okay,
Okay, you got it.
okay.
they're all the same. Oh, no, we got one here.
This is my tape.
Lynn.
Or she's paper to get to the end of it.
Yeah, you got 3 in one. That's tiebreaker.
So it is Ron is, and then Lynn is the alternate. Okay.
So you got 3 in one.
Yeah.
And 1 on that, and 4 no on that.
So go ahead, Sam.
All right, Lynn Weaver is the alternate, and Ronald Erickson is the regular position.
Okay. Very good. Moving on to 17F, consider adoption of resolution number 16412A, approving the application for loans grants for the Green Line Sewer Interconnect. Go ahead, you want to just make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a
We've heard the
motion that we
case.
approve resolution number 16-04-12A, resolution by the governing body of the applicant, which is Town of Lake Lure, and that's for the Green Line grant.
Okay, do I hear, do I hear a second? Second, motion made by Stephen, second by Mary Ann. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And now there's a item G.
I make a motion that we go into closed session in accordance with GS 143-318-11, sub A, sub 6, for the purpose of discussing personnel matters relating to the town attorney. And I don't know what he did now that we have to do that.
Well,